Hello and welcome to REL10F week, the last one, recap. I'm Kiss Blue.
And I, as always, am NinjaPirateAssassin.
And I'm not dead this time. So, we're going to look at some games and then we're going to talk about stuff for what the off season means to you, pretty much. But games first. And on that topic, the very first game we have is Wrath of Nuffle versus the Thunderous Puffins.
Yep, and Thunderous Puffins currently winning the division and still are even taking a tie here versus a Chaos team that we just picked up not 3 weeks ago as one of the ramp-up coaches, who has done quite well for themselves these last 3 weeks. I believe he is 2-1-0.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty damn good for a team that's this fresh. It was it's not hard to see why he did well against the High Elves, though. The Chaos.
He got a lot of armor breaks
Yes.
against Armor 8.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that turned into a lot of removals.
Yeah, I'm thinking he probably got a decent number of removals early and was able to snowball a little bit. We've got 51 blocks to 35.
Mm-hmm.
And then, elves are just Agi 5 and 1 turning and all of that. So it's no surprise that even probably getting their teeth kicked in a little bit, they still scored twice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, and at the end of the day, they are elves. So, elves gonna bullshit. Only one pass, though, which for high elves is quite a low number. Okay, the next game is Hella's Kitchen versus the Exqueetables, which is also a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, and this was the matchup between the team in second place and the team in third place. So they are 2 of the 4 teams, along with Thunderous Puffins, that are still in for play-ins for a playoff spot, depending on next week's results. And we'll go over that after we talk about all the matches here. Essentially, this game, both teams were looking at if you win, you're probably going to be in play-ins, and then they tied.
Yeah. And, look at the match report. This looks an awful lot like the last game. One team got a huge number of armor breaks, and the other team didn't. Although, actually, I say that, but 7 armor breaks with only 16 blocks is kind of incredibly good.
Yeah, they got some pretty good math, but looks like 12 removals against the Rats, which is what you want to see as Norse and what you don't want to see as a Rat coach, but what happens about 1 in 6 to 8 games, I find, where all your armor breaks all the time and you just have a bad day. Of course, movement 10 gutter runners on this team, natural 1 turning, I'm sure, is probably how he kept the tie.
Yeah, that sort of helps a lot. Yeah. Gotta kill those 1-turners. Next up, we have Big Ma's Blitzers versus the Meat Squad, which was won by Chaos Dwarves 2-1.
Yep, and because of the previous game tied and Meat Squad won, Meat Squad is actually currently sitting in second place now on TD differential, as that is the first tiebreak.
Skip the bracket.
One more touchdown. Yeah, he has 1 more touchdown than either the Norse or the Rats.
So, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he's probably going to be fighting one of those 2 teams in the next round.
That would be my expectation, but in a small Swiss, who knows what Cyanide's going to do in order to make the matchups happen?
That's a fair point. Who knows what it will do. This was a real bash down of a game, but with relatively few removals to show for it. Just Chaos Wars outbashed Lizards, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like they had just enough guard. I know the Lizards don't have any yet, although that MVP Crocs, unless it rolled block, is probably going to be their first guard on the team, I think.
Well, it did not roll block. Huh. That's an interesting choice.
Take grab or something.
Stand firm.
I could see it.
Yeah, it's not a bad choice.
This Lizard team has definitely made a bunch of choices that are non-standard. Dirty Player Skink comes to mind. And yeah, none of them have been like outright, no, you should never do that. They're just interesting that you chose to go that direction first.
Okay, I do feel like you shouldn't do a Dirty Player Skink, if I'm being honest. But also, I love it so much that I could never tell someone no.
He's gotten value out of it, so can't really complain.
Well, there you go. Next up, we have Primal Concrete Sludge, who won 2-0 against Wraith Reavers. I believe Wraith Reavers was the other new one, right?
Yeah, they were the rookie Necro, and they have been losing pieces every game, and absolutely nothing has gone well for them.
That's
just
rough.
Completely.
Two deaths in this game. One of them was the MVP White.
And I don't believe that's the first time he's had a dead MVP as part of his game.
Oof. We might be... Okay, so... I'm just gonna say this. I would not blame you if you re-rolled into a new team for the next season. Start off fresh. Actually, wait a second.
Yeah, as I recall, he's lost 1 or 2 wolves plus a white. And he didn't have any level ups the last time I looked at the team, but I haven't looked at them recently.
Was this a legal concede? Am I seeing things? Wait. No, never mind. I'm just seeing things. Okay. Delusional. Got it. I guess it's better than dying. Last of all, we have their Minerals Mary versus the Thompsons. And the Humies won.
Yep. Dwarves were the last of the ramp-up coaches.
They did get an intercept, though. I mean, you know, any day
that has happened, I think, 3 times in the last 4 weeks for the humans. They've been intercepted. I know Chaos intercepted them in garbage time in one of the previous 2 matches, but it seems to happen to them a lot. And against teams that you would not expect very high odds of it happening.
I mean, I was going to say, any game where a dwarf coach can say that they caught the ball, that's a good game.
That's like, what, 5s at best for dwarves, right? If you don't have any Agios? 6s on all the long beards, for sure.
It's 5 on a blitzer or runner. It's 6 on everything else. And that's assuming they're in 0 tackle zones.
Yep.
Yeah, this looks like just the dwarves couldn't quite score. It looks like the humans waged a successful defense, and the dwarves didn't. Not sure there's much else to say. So we can move on to the play-in.
Yep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to confirm the round here so we can see the matchups for next week. And then I will talk about what the 4 teams that are in playoff contention need to do to actually make a spot. So I'm just hitting the confirm the round button here now.
Let's see if I can get the full statistics up here. There they are. Okay, we have the Thunderous Puffins versus Meat Squad.
Okay, so both of these teams are playing for a spot.
This is the first and second place team, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so Puffins at this point, a win or a tie gets them a playoff spot. If they tie at best, the other three teams can tie their record on points, and they are currently 7 touchdowns in TD diff. So they would need, if they tied, they would need both the Skaven and the Norse to win something like 8-0. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, Voyager just needs to not lose, and he will most likely be in. Meat Squad needs to actually have the win, most likely. Otherwise, either Explicables or Hell's Kitchen could catch up. Neither of whom were matched against top 4 coaches. I find this highly questionable, Cyanide. Why are the top 4 not all playing against each other?
Wrath of Nuffle is 2-1-0 actually in the Swiss. So they've been playing very well. So that's not a walk in the park for Explicables.
Okay, that's fair then. And Hell's Kitchen has the Thompsons.
Yep, I think they got probably the most favorable matchup out of the playoff teams. They've also got no one to blame but themselves, as they have played Thunder's Puffins and the Explicables in this Swiss and lost. I think they lost to Puffins and tied Explicables.
Well,
so if they get knocked out, it's their fault.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyanide keeps trying to do what they can do to give him a shot still. But so the gist of it is, Meat Squad, Explicables, and Hell's Kitchens are all tied. Like Puffins have a pretty easy road. Win or a tie, and you're in, short of a miracle. And even on a loss, there's still a chance for them to get in if both Explicables and Hell's Kitchens lose. So that's Puffins' road. Meat Squad, if they win, they are probably in. They are up 2 TD diff over the rest of the teams, meaning that if they win, at a minimum, Explicables and Hell's Kitchen, or I should say, or Hell's Kitchen, need to win by
at least 3 points.
3 touchdowns in order to force the second tiebreak, which I believe is head-to-head, which will be weird because some of you guys have played people twice. So we may get into extenuating tiebreakers past touchdown days.
How does head-to-head work in this? You know what? Don't even bother telling me. I don't want to know.
Yeah, so normally you've only played each coach once. So I believe the tiebreakers in order are touchdown differential, followed by least losses. So if you're tied on points, but one of you lost fewer games to get. And then the third result is head-to-head. So if you played each other and one team won. And beyond that, for a playoff spot, I believe it's a play-in game. You play a friendly to determine who's going. But because some teams are going to have non-equal playing records against other teams past touchdown diff, we may get interesting, because they're all 6-2-2, so they're all going to be tied on least losses no matter how it shakes out if tiebreakers come into play. So we'll see if it comes to that. But yeah, the gist of it is, if Meat Squad wins, then the only way they don't get a playoff spot is if Explicables or Hell's Kitchen win by 3 to force more playoffs. So Explicables and Hell's Kitchen's easiest way in is they need Meat Squad to tie or lose and then win their game. And the Explicables is up 1 touchdown diff on the Norse. So the Norse really need to consider trying to win by a whole bunch of points. But if, again, any one of those 3 win and the other 2 lose, then you're in the second playoff spot, with Puffins being in the first in that particular example. So, and I believe, nobody else is even in the running. So that's how it'll play out.
There is a 6-point difference between 4th and 5th place, so it is only between the top 4. Okay. Do you remember at the beginning of the season who we picked for our favorites? By the way?
I mean, I know we said Hell's Kitchen, or you liked Hell's Kitchen because he was the most experienced coach.
I remember that.
I think I might have gone Rats or High Elves, because Agi teams are really good early when there's not a whole lot of Mighty Blow Tackle to deal with. That's my guess, anyway.
Well, all of those teams are in the top 4. So, I'm going to go ahead and give it to us. We successfully predicted 100% of all of the things that happened in this division.
Yeah, Dwarfs win and make a playoff spot and ruin everything.
Yeah, but what are the odds of that happening? Don't tell me.
He's been playing pretty good. He's fought his way into a playoff spot. So,
I said don't tell me.
So who do you think takes the 2 playoff spots?
Okay, I think one of them will be Thunderous Puffins. Because for Thunderous Puffin to not get it, he would need to lose, and also, I guess it's not. No, I'm pretty sure he'll get it, because he needs to do the least to get it. For the second...
He needs to not lose to Chorfs.
Exactly.
That's basically it.
He needs to not lose to Chorfs, and even if he does lose, there's a chance that he will still get the spot, albeit not a great one. But the other 3 are all a toss-up for that second spot.
To me, I think Hell's Kitchen has the easier game in theory.
That's what it sounds like.
I think Exqueakables against Chaos, like Rats against Chaos, is a game that, especially with a natural one-turner, he should tie pretty easily. But winning is going to come down to whether or not his Line Rat armor holds. And it didn't hold last game against the Chorfs. And so if he gets his teeth kicked in, I could see that game tying. It's hard to pick Rats to lose when you have a natural one. It can also be hard to pick him to win, but...
Also worth saying, Hell's Kitchen played the Thompsons in the final week of the regular competition, and they won 2-0. I think this is a rematch that's probably going to go similarly to how it went the first time around.
Yeah, I think Hell's Kitchen wins. I think Meat Squad is going to have a rough game of it. I think they certainly can win, and they've been playing well lately.
I think this will actually be a draw.
But yeah, I don't like... Puffin's only needing to play for a draw. I think it'll be pretty easy for them to guarantee a draw, short of really terrible.
I do not know how the Exqueakables factor into this, though. Because if they win, then we're in weird touchdown differential territory. If both they and Hell's Kitchen win, that is.
Yep. The Exqueakables game is the wild card game. I'm
going to go on a limb here and say that Skaven probably has a better touchdown differential than the Norse. They do.
The Skaven do by 1.
So, but they also have a harder match. I don't know. It's really hard to say. If Exqueakable wins their match, I think that they will go into playoffs. If they do not win their match, then obviously not. Then probably it'll be Hell's Kitchen. If a lot of people win or lose, then there's a lot of fringe scenarios here that I just don't even know.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how I see it too. Puffins or Meat Squad, the winner goes in, or if Puffins tie, Puffins tying is basically Puffins the same as Puffins winning in my mind. So if that's how that game will play out, one way or the other. So I think one of those 2 teams is going to be in no matter what.
Oh yeah,
and then I think you're right. If the Exqueakables win against Wrath of Nuffle, they'll be the second team, and if Hell's Kitchen wins against the Thompsons, they'll be the second team, or they'll be, and the Exqueakables lose. Yeah. And
to be clear, the Puffins have a TD differential of 13. So if they drew, another team would need to win, or the Exqueakables would need to score 9 more touchdowns than their opponent in order to tie the Puffins on TD differential.
Yeah, that's even in games that have been complete clusters. Like I've seen 7-0s before, and that is about as high as I've ever seen. I've seen 9 touchdowns scored in a game by both teams combined, 5-4.
I feel like 0-9 would be hard to do, even if your opponent was trying to help you do it.
Yeah, I think I agree.
In that scenario, Skaven might be able to do it, but we're literally talking about collusion here, and there's not going to be collusion in this match.
Yep, I think that is the most likely scenario. Mm-hmm. The winner, or Puffins if they tie, of their match, and Exqueagables if they win, or Hell's Kitchen if Exqueagables lose and Hell's Kitchen win. Meat Squad obviously has the bit of a buffer. If both Exqueagables and Hell's Kitchen lose, then Meat Squad will more than likely be in, unless they lose by 4 or 5 touchdowns or something. Mm-hmm. Because they have that 2 touchdown differential buffer. So there is a possibility where Puffins and Meat Squad get both of the playoff spots, depending on how the other 2 games go.
Yeah,
but I don't.
A draw double loss situation would also do that. But anyway, I think we've analyzed the various permutations of this enough. We wanted to talk about what else? How play-ins ties into playoffs? I think that was on the itinerary, right?
Yeah, so just a quick reminder for everybody. So after this week and these games are finished, the top 2 teams will go into play-ins. You'll be seeded into a 2-game Swiss, and essentially the winner of each of those 2-game Swisses will go to playoff. So if you win, you go 2-0. You will be the winner. I believe they're only putting 4 teams in each Swiss, as I recall, and that's how they're doing it.
Makes sense.
And if there are ties, because I don't know if they decided to do this as knockouts or not, in which case they would force winners via overtime. I'm sure there is some methodology for figuring out who's going to win. There is a post on the subreddit that they put up a couple days ago that I haven't had a chance to read, so the specifics are there if you're interested. Everybody else is getting put in a series of regional Swisses for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They will be all comprised of the remaining teams from all of the letter divs in your conference, so all of the REL letter divs. And last I heard, they were planning on taking by ranking, so basically if you were 5th in the division, you'll get put in with a bunch of other teams that were 5th, but I don't know if they are held to that or if that's covered in the Rebel post or if they're just going to random it. And so read the Reddit post and see what they say they're going to do there, if they are going to do something specific.
Wait. So you're saying that I should have deliberately tanked my position?
I mean, that's a conversation some people have, but you play to win, right? That's the point.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Why play if you're not going to win?
Well, clearly you do not play Underworld, but
I played Underworld and Clan last year, and I know how soul-crushing that can be.
Or any stunty for that matter, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. Also, I think I'm not 100% sure about this, but the ramp-up people, you're not going to get... You still have a chance to get into the play-ins because there's a ramp-up slot in the play-ins, which is for the best-performing ramp-up coaches. So, depending on how you stack up to other people who were in ramp-up, you still might get a spot.
Yep, I do believe they've already figured out who that is. I believe someone has run away from it who started early. The thing about the ramp-up thing is obviously the teams that got to play more games have a better shot at the playoff spot. And I believe it is someone who started week 2 or 3 that is going to take that, as I recall. But I could be wrong.
Well, I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying the possibility was there.
So, the last thing, again, I was going to discuss is off-season stuff and what your options are. So, you can take your existing team into the Open Invitational. It is a 4-round tournament that runs concurrently with playoffs to give league teams something to do. It is opt-in, opt-out, meaning that you can drop from it any given week, so you can hop in and play one game if you just want to get your missed next games back for next season, or you want to try and level that one key piece. But once you drop, you are done. And you do not get to play anything else.
And you need to drop out between rounds. You cannot drop out after the round has been rolled.
Yep, the window for dropping out is after your game is confirmed, before the schedule for next week goes up. It should be noted, playing in the Open Invitational does not force you to play that team in ReBBL. You still have the option of re-rolling into a fresh TV 1000 team for the next season. You are not allowed to drop from the OI and play in the Greenhorn. So the Greenhorn is the other off-season tournament, which this was a Greenhorn division, so some of you are familiar with that tournament. The ramp-up coaches won't be. But essentially, it's a 4-game TV 1000 team tournament where you can try and get a 4-game jump start on next season. And you have the option of either taking your Greenhorn team into ReBBL or re-rolling into a fresh team to start ReBBL if it didn't go your way. So there's that. There is also free agency, which all of you are able to participate in. Free agency, which is something I started a few seasons ago because I thought it would be fun, is retiring teams sell old pieces off of their teams to the market. They don't get a benefit for this. This is just they get to see the players live. So the admins have a series of teams that have a bunch of positionals from previous ReBBL teams. And there is a waiver draft of those players. So if you're interested, you can submit a waiver claim. There will be instructions on the specifics of who you submit that to and how you submit it. But it works like a baseball draft. So the team with the first pick gets one player, the highest off their list. Then the next team gets the highest off their list, and so on until all the players are assigned or nobody has made any claims. You do need to be able to purchase the player for his listed in-game SPP cost. You can pay for that with selling players back to the market, provided they meet the market criteria, which as it currently stands is at least level 3, at least 1 double or stat up. Some exceptions apply for things like Sauruses or Black Orc blockers where they take forever to level.
Generally, high-level players who take a long time to level up.
But there will be, like I said, a post going out from the trade commissioners. You'll note there's a trade commissioner channel in the Discord that you can go and ask questions about it as well. I don't know. I stepped away for a season as I used to run the Open Invitational and free agency every off season, and I burned out hard, so I stepped away a couple seasons ago. So the OI is now run by Slice and
James Tycoon.
Yeah, and Monkey Chunks, I think, are the two that currently run free agency along with Metal, who is kind of overseeing it. And then also I think there's going to be some one-day tournaments going on as well. Which
February, not 11th. That weekend, though. The 5th? No, the 12th. February 12th. 9th.
Yep.
That one.
So those are ridiculous games with crazy rules and usually 1-minute timers that you play.
This one is going to be the Chaos Cup,
special team,
which means that all of your reroll. We have a special channel for this, and we have a dice bot on the channel. And every time you level up, you roll on the die bot, and it tells you what skill you take on level up. So you don't get to pick the level ups for your players. The bot picks for you. And there's a few rules for that, dictating what can and cannot be taken. And
you must take the double, you must take the stat if they come up.
And you get some free wins to get some SPP to get you started. So you're starting with some random level ups on your team. And everyone has a stadium enhancement.
It's a lot of fun. And if you win, I think both the overall bracket and the loser, I believe both of the winners get mugs, and the Rebel mugs are only distributed via tournament wins. There
Let's
is no
see.
other way to buy them.
First you get a mug, then you get a mouse pad, then you get a notebook, and they haven't. I don't know what you get after the notebook, but you know, I'll tell you after I win the Losers Cup again.
Plus, you're going to get little championship things on rebel.net here shortly, because that is what MajorByte has implemented recently. So you get to show off as well.
And you get to become memes, whether you want to or not.
Yep, Chaos Cup, the very first Chaos Cup, the player of that cup was a dirty player gutter runner.
Mm-hmm.
He was very effective.
Yep, that was great. A true fouling positional.
All right, I think that pretty much covers it. This will be our last recap because you will not be playing each other anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed these recaps. They were a lot of fun to do. And I hope you enjoyed your season. I know some of you had a bit of a rough go of it. And always, if you have any feedback for the admin staff about how stuff is going, things you did like or didn't like, this division was a little weird with the Swiss and the shortage of players, feel free to drop me a note in Discord and just say, hey, I liked this or I didn't like this, so I can pass that feedback up so that we can decide if this happens next year or next season, if we need to do something differently or not.
And sorry for me for my lack of availability, but you know, sometimes real life happens. But hopefully I helped when I was there, when I was here, and hopefully you enjoyed and you learned. So until next season, I suppose. Play well and have a good night. Bye.
See ya.